What if the man sent to silence your music was the only one who could finish your song? Stay with me, because this story shows that the wait can be rewarded in ways you never imagined. Moscow, January 1952. The snow fell like ash over Theater Square, and Yelena Mikhailovna Sokolova pressed her gloved hands against her coat, hiding the tremor that had nothing to do with the cold. A black car was waiting at the artist's entrance of the Bolshoi. She had been warned. A new man from the ministry would be observing rehearsals. Every note, every pause, every breath. She walked past the car without looking, but she felt the eyes from inside follow her like a slow hand on her spine. Inside the theater, the chandelier glowed weak and yellow. The orchestra was tuning. Her teacher, old Pyotr Ilyich, met her in the wing with a face like a closed door. "He is here," he whispered. "His name is Dmitry Andreevich Volkov. Be careful, Lena. He is not like the others." Yelena nodded. She was 27 years old, the principal soloist of the Bolshoi, the daughter of a composer who had vanished one winter night when she was 9. She had learned, very young, that music was the only country that could not be taken from her. She walked to the piano. She sat, and she felt him before she saw him. Dmitry Volkov stood at the back of the hall, in a long gray coat, hands folded behind him. He was perhaps 35, tall, with dark hair cut severely short and pale eyes that did not blink. A censor, a listener, a man whose written report could end a career or a life. Yelena began the program. Tchaikovsky approved. Glinka approved. Then she paused, and without permission, without thought, her fingers found the opening of a sonata that had not been printed in Russia for 20 years. A sonata her father had loved. She played 4 bars. Then she stopped. She had remembered, too late, who was listening. Silence fell over the hall like a held breath. From the back, slow footsteps approached. Dmitry reached the piano. He did not speak. He simply sat beside her on the bench, removed his gloves, and placed his hands on the keys. And he finished the phrase, note for note, from memory. Yelena could not breathe. He played 8 more bars, soft, certain, tender, and then he stopped, exactly where her father used to stop when he was teaching her. He stood. He put his gloves back on. "Continue with the approved program, Comrade Sokolova," he said quietly. And he walked away. That night she could not sleep. A KGB censor who knew a forbidden sonata by heart. A man who should have reported her and did not. She told herself it was a trap. She told herself men like him did not make mistakes. But she had seen his hands on the keys. Hands do not lie. The rehearsals continued for weeks. Dmitry came every day. He sat in the same seat. He took notes in a small black book. He never mentioned the sonata. He never spoke to her beyond formal greetings. But sometimes, when she played a passage that was difficult, she would glance up and find him watching her not as a censor, but as a man who understood exactly what the music was costing her. One evening in February, a heavy snow trapped half the orchestra at home. Yelena stayed late to practice alone. The theater was almost dark. She did not hear him enter. She only knew he was there when she finished a phrase and heard, from the shadows, a single quiet word. Again. She turned. Dmitry stood in the aisle, coat open, scarf loose, looking younger and more tired than she had ever seen him. She played again. He walked closer. He sat in the front row. When she finished, he said, "Your father taught you." It was not a question. Yelena's hands froze on the keys. "He taught me too," Dmitry said. "For 2 winters. When I was a boy in Leningrad." Before he was taken, the world tilted. Yelena gripped the edge of the piano. Her father had given private lessons, yes, to the children of friends, to talented boys without money. She had been too small to remember faces. But she remembered her father saying once, "There is a boy in Leningrad with hands like water. If the world were kinder, he would play in Vienna." Dmitri looked at her with something close to grief. "I owe him everything I am," he said, "and everything I am not." They talked until dawn. Not about politics. Not about the ministry. About a man they had both loved and lost, and about the music he had left inside them like a second heart. Dmitri told her he had been recruited young, that his ear for forbidden compositions had made him valuable, that he had spent 10 years listening for the very sonatas that had shaped his soul. He told her he had asked to be assigned to her, not to destroy her, to protect her, from men less careful than himself. Yelena did not know whether to weep or to run. She did neither. She placed her hand over his on the piano bench, and for a long moment they did not move. The weeks that followed were the most dangerous and the most beautiful of her life. They met in small ways. A walk along the frozen river. A cup of tea in a workers' cafe where no one knew their faces. He brought her sheet music smuggled from Prague. She played for him in the empty theater after midnight. They did not speak of love. They did not have to. Love was the silence between the notes. Then, in March, the revelation came. Dmitri arrived at her apartment late, pale, his coat dusted with snow. He carried a thin file. He placed it on her table. "Read it," he said. She opened it. It was a report about her father, dated 1934. The man who had signed the order for his arrest was named in the first paragraph. The man who had quietly removed her father's name from a second list, a list that would have sent him not to a camp but to a wall, was named in the second. The second name was Dmitri's father, a senior officer who had died in disgrace 2 years later for that very act of mercy. Yelena understood at once. Her father had survived 3 more years because of the Volkov family. 3 years in which he had written her lullabies, taught her scales, kissed her forehead before each lesson. 3 years she would not have had. And Dmitri had carried this knowledge alone for months, watching her play, unable to tell her, unable to ask for the forgiveness that was not his to receive. She did not speak. She walked to him. She placed her forehead against his chest. She felt him shake. So did she. They had 3 more weeks. Then a colleague of Dmitri's, a younger officer named Sergeyev, began to ask questions. Why did Comrade Volkov stay so late at the theater? Why was his report on Sokolova so thin? Dmitri felt the noose tighten. One night in April, he came to her with 2 envelopes. One was a travel permit to Vienna for a cultural exchange, arranged through a contact he had spent 10 years cultivating. Her name was on it. His was not. The other envelope was a letter of denunciation against himself, signed, ready to be filed, which would draw all attention onto him and away from her. "You leave," he said. "You play in Vienna. You do not come back. I stay. I confess to a smaller crime before they find a larger one. I survive. I find you when I can. Maybe in a year. Maybe in 10. Yelena looked at the 2 envelopes for a long time. Then she tore the letter of denunciation in half. "We go together," she said. He shook his head. "It is not possible." She smiled, and it was the smile of her father, stubborn and bright. "Then we make it possible." She had her own contact. An old friend of her mother, a violinist now in Helsinki, who had been waiting 20 years to repay a debt. A second name could be added to the Vienna delegation. A driver. A page turner. A nobody. It would take everything she had saved. It would take every favor her teacher Pyotr Ilyich could call in. It would take one night of courage. They left Moscow on the 18th of April, 1952, in the second car of a small delegation. Dmitri wore a borrowed suit and carried her sheet music. At the border, a young guard looked at his papers too long. Dmitri did not breathe. The guard looked up, met his eyes, and Yelena saw something pass between them, something she would never fully understand. The guard stamped the papers. The car moved on. In Vienna, she played the sonata, the whole sonata, in a small hall, to an audience of 200 strangers and one man in the third row who knew every note. When she finished, the silence before the applause was the longest of her life. They did not return. They settled quietly in a small town outside Vienna where a piano teacher and her husband, a translator of Russian poetry, raised 2 daughters and grew old together. Dmitri never spoke of the ministry. Yelena never played in a great hall again. She did not need to. Every evening after supper, in a small room with yellow light and worn rugs, she sat at an upright piano and played the sonata her father had taught them both. And Dmitri sat beside her on the bench, hands folded, eyes closed, listening to the only country no one had ever been able to take from them.
Did you enjoy today's story? Stay with me for just a moment. Let me know in the comments, which city are you watching from? Did this message touch you? And if you have ideas for future stories, feel free to share them. Your suggestion could become our next video. Leave a like if this message meant something to you. Subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. If you think someone else would appreciate this message, please share it. And if you'd like to support the channel, take a look at the links in the description. Some are affiliate links, which help us at no extra cost to you. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.